in this video, breaking down exactly how I draw Sukuna, not just the result, but the full process. If you're trying to improve your manga drawings, this is what actually matters. Excuse me. Starting with the skeleton, as I was sometimes I think the video is going too fast to where it's not showing this enough, or sometimes a part is kind of cut out and it's very drawn very light, but I'm doing like the stick figure with the balls as joints as like a skeleton, just to give myself a basic guideline. Also, even drawing like an elongated like bubble around the, like, for example, the shoulder joint into the elbow joint, and then from the elbow joint into where the hand would be, and literally doing having that represent like a muscle bed, like the musculature of the forearm or the upper arm, or same for there wasn't legs in this, but it would be like for the thighs and for the shin and calf muscle, whatever. So like just giving myself that basic guideline before I build everything else out. And another thing is, I don't show these in my videos, but I constantly drill the anatomy of all these characters that I'm drawing. I do other drills where I'm drawing the anatomy first and then drawing the character over the anatomy, and I'm doing it as like a repeat. So what happens is there's this first, and then there's a repeat where I'm just focusing on an anatomy, and I'm doing that another time for every single so there's other repetitions I'm getting in that I'm not actually posting. But if people are wondering, like, oh, like they're seeing leaps in improvement, like the video that I show here, that's not the only thing I'm doing. But what happens is some of the things that I'm explaining are things that I'm paying attention to when I'm doing the drills. But you can just pay attention to them at any time as well. Just to be like to give some clarity about, like, when I'm explaining things to focus on and pay attention to, like, it's not me drawing in a given video is not the only time I'm doing it for that specific piece I just did. I'm doing it like multiple other times for each photo before I move on to another photo. So each photo is going to be multiple reps, and then I move on to another one. And it's not that I'm trying to master that photo, but I'm trying to milk every drop out of it with repetition, focusing on specific things until I can get them better. Whether that's I'm consciously paying attention to it, and I'm also subconsciously improving at drawing the character in general, because I'm getting in those repetitions and it's forcing me to adapt with my reflex or my attention to detail, or getting something more accurate when I'm drawing it on purpose or on accident. There's things I'm on accidentally getting better at because I've just done it enough times as well. I start with the line of action, not details, movement. Excuse me. I start with the line of action, not details, movement. When I build the torso, when I build the torso and head placement around. I'm not speaking properly. Let me re-say that entire thing. I start with, so it's almost as if I'm drunk, and I'm not. Just very strained. I start with the line of action, not details, movement. So he's not really moving here, but what happens is he has kind of like a dynamic pose. The thing is, so I'm showing the hands. It's not showing here in the part of the sketch that I'm at, but his hands are around his stomach, and he has like a mouth on his stomach, because that's him and his, like, the form he's possessed by, right? But what happens is, there was also, I plan to have he had an extra. He's in the level of the form where he has not just two arms, but he has like four arms. So I plan to draw those other arms, and you could see the upper end of those arms. It's maybe not as defined where they are in the photo, but you can kind of tell if like you know what the character looks like. But the hands for the lower set of arms are not in the photo. Like they went out of the photo towards the bottom. So right below his midsection, that's where those hands would come. And there was a part in this video where you could see like the reference photo I was using. You could see where those hands were. Um, so I'm trying to make sure maybe the word's not action, but like or muffled movement. But I'm trying to make sure that there's dynamic. It's a dynamic pose, so I'm trying to make sure that's all structured properly. Somebody standing straight, or in more of a pose that's seen more often for that character, or let's say you could draw many different characters and they could all just be standing there and they can have their own anatomical structure, but it gets kind of repetitive, like you kind of know what to expect even if this person has a different body structure. But when it becomes dynamic and you're taking into account that these people have different anatomy and they're posing in a specific way, like flexing certain musculature, you have to try and keep all these things in mind or whatever, building from the structure out to the detail later on to get it correct. And my proportions caused me to put part of the. I could have drawn more of this photo, and then part of it went off the paper. But I still tried to get what I had on the paper correct, right? Um, but yeah, then I build the torso and head placement around that. If this stage is off, nothing later will fix it. There's so many details I was drawing that I actually forgot where I was with certain things, working to the reference and then looking back at the paper. So that affected the proportion could look correct, but some of them are a little bit off to the point where it pushed the lower hands off paper because it just shifted the proportions of everything I was trying to line up all the way down to his midsection, literally. Um, now now I refine the form, and excuse me, the text is not lined up with specifically what I'm drawing right now, but I'm just catching it up a little bit because I had it laid out, kind of giving a very very brief description about what I was doing within certain time frames, and then I just add in my extras. So now I have refined the form, jaw, cheekbones, torso structure. Sukuna has sharp, intentional features, so I focus on clean shape design here. Also, I'm doing this in pen, so there's things I have to pay attention to way more. With pencil, you can just erase. But at the same time, like, if the goal is to be able to accurately draw, like, it's good to pay attention to these things that are helping you improve because, if you do that, it's taking you less tries to get it the first time. And if it's taking you less tries to get it as accurate as you need it to be the first time, it means you've actually improved. Because now it's taking you less effort to do something that, maybe a few months ago of practice, you couldn't do this at the level you're doing it now. But now you can do it at this level and it's not even taking you as many tries. And, that's just, that's the whole point, right? If you want to improve at art. Even if you're a hobbyist, you probably also want to improve. It's just one of those things that why do people, let's actually ask, why do people do things? Like maybe people don't want to do it for money, like obviously, right? but like they still probably want to be improving at it, even if it's at the slowest rate possible. Like they want to see themselves do better. That's probably has to do somewhere with why they're doing it. Maybe they enjoy how it feels. I can't tell people. I can't say that people need to enjoy certain things or not enjoy certain things. Like obviously, people would enjoy video games or things that feel good. Maybe art feels good to people, So maybe the level of how good they do it doesn't matter, or the fact that they're improving doesn't really matter too much. Maybe they like to do it because it frees them. It's like a form of meditation. Who knows, right? But at the same time, I'm pretty sure a lot of people like part of their goal with it is to be better at it. Maybe they've seen artists that they're inspired by. Maybe they've seen cartoon art or things that they'd like to draw, and maybe people are infatuated with certain types of art regardless of what genre it is, and they want to be able to draw it themselves and have it for themselves. Who knows, right? But yeah, paying attention to these things helps build all that so that you can now be at that level. Also, one thing you'll realize is that as you're improving, it could take a lot longer to draw anything. But what happens is that's a phase as well. Let's say you leap up in improvement a certain amount of times, right? Over a span of a certain amount of months, and you reach a level of difficulty that's very, very high in comparison to what you were doing a few months ago. And let's say that you're drawing something that's heavily detailed and heavily advanced, and you do very well at it, but it takes a long time to do. Like it could take you, maybe you knock out a sketch that's more in your range in maybe around an hour, and just to give like a random example, but this might have taken you 2 or maybe even 3 hours to draw. Well, what happens is go a few more months down the line of improving the same thing that took you maybe up to 2 or 3 hours, you probably draw that even better, and it might take you only an hour. So as you keep moving forward, it will even be taking you less time to do more advanced things. But when you first approach that advanced thing, it might take you longer. But as you keep going, you just keep getting better at everything about it, including how fast you can do it. And it's not that you're rushing; you're actually just you're processing everything you're doing a lot faster, and your base level of skill is high enough that it's just taking you less effort and time to do everything. Yeah, so Sukuna has sharp, intentional features, so I focus on clean shape design here. Only now do I add details, eyes, markings, line weight, because the structure is solid. The details actually enhance the drawing. I did some of the outlines of where some of the markings were before I filled them in. Just like I was doing markings of like musculature detail or muscle separation with darker lines to define where like an arm or a shoulder was, or maybe even a shaded area, and finally starting to fill in some of those, obviously, which has already been done in the video at this point. And not even just doing it all at the same time. Some of it was random when I started to fill it in, but I had done more around it before I had filled it in. Only now I details, eyes, markings, line weight, because the structure is solid. The details actually enhance the drawing. And this process I'm building on every video is not perfection, it's progress. If you're serious about improving, stay consistent and keep refining. Yeah. And that's all I have to say about this one.